A racist cop pulls over a black teen for driving a stolen luxury car. He laughs in the boy's face, enjoying the fear in his eyes. But that cop, a man who thinks his badge makes him a king, just made the biggest mistake of his career. He has no idea who he just pulled over. This is the story of how one man's arrogance led to his complete and total destruction. The city breathes a tired, gray sigh as dusk settles over the asphalt. Officer Frank Miller likes this time of day. The shadows get long and hungry, and in the twilight, it's easier to see monsters where there are only men. His patrol car, a Ford Interceptor, is more than a vehicle. It is his kingdom, a rolling fortress of authority sealed with the scent of stale coffee and cheap air freshener. He grips the wheel, his knuckles thick and white, a man carved from granite and prejudice. Miller is hunting. He doesn't think of it that way, of course. In his mind, he is a guardian. A protector. He is the thin blue line. But the line he draws is not between order and chaos. It is between his world and theirs. His patrol route takes him along the border of the manicured lawns of Sterling Heights and the cracked pavement of the East Side. He calls it the DMZ. A place where the two worlds bleed into each other. A place where, in his view, things get messy. He sees it then. A flash of impossible blue, sleek and predatory, gliding down the street with a whisper-quiet hum. A McLaren 720S. A car that costs more than his house. A car that does not belong here, on this side of the line. It moves like a phantom, a shard of some other, wealthier reality that has broken off and drifted into his territory. And behind the wheel, a silhouette. A young black kid. A grin spreads across Miller's face, slow and unpleasant. It's a predator's grin. Jackpot. He feels the familiar thrum of righteousness, the acidic cocktail of certainty and contempt that fuels his every action. He flicks on the lights. The brilliant red and blue strobes slice through the twilight, painting the street in urgent, violent flashes. The McLaren pulls over instantly, its brake lights a searing red apology. It surrenders. Inside the car, Jamal Thompson's heart hammers against his ribs. The music that was just filling the small cabin, a smooth beat from a new artist he liked, is now a distant, tinny memory. All he can hear is the blood pounding in his ears and the approaching crunch of heavy boots on gravel. He is 17. He is a good student. He has never been in trouble. But he knows what this is. He has had the talk with his father a dozen times. Keep your hands where they can see them. Be polite. No sudden moves. Say, sir. Don't give them a reason. The problem, his father had always told him with a heavy sigh, is that sometimes, your existence is the only reason they need. Miller approaches the passenger side, a deliberate choice. He wants to look the kid over, to see him squirm under the full glare of his flashlight beam. He taps the glass with a heavy, metal-cased flashlight, a sharp, commanding rap. The window glides down with an expensive, silent hiss. The beam hits Jamal's face, and he squints. He's just a kid. A handsome boy with a clean haircut and a nervous energy, wearing a simple gray hoodie. He looks exactly like what he is, a teenager out for a drive. But Miller does not see a teenager. He sees a suspect. A caricature. A story he has already written in his head. Well, Miller's voice is a low growl, thick with manufactured bonhomie. What have we got here? License and registration. And please, try not to do anything stupid. Jamal nods, his mouth dry. Yes, sir. He moves with painstaking slowness, his hands always in the light. He reaches for the glove compartment, his fingers trembling slightly as he pulls out the leather-bound folder. He hands it over, along with his driver's license. Miller snatches the documents. He doesn't even look at the license. He shines his light on the registration, a cynical smirk playing on his lips. Thompson Automotive Group, he reads aloud, dragging the words out. Fancy. You boost this from your boss, kid? Or did you just find it parked with the keys in it? It's my father's car, sir, Jamal says, his voice quiet but steady. He is trying to remember his dad's words. Stay calm. Do not let them see you break. Miller lets out a short, barking laugh. It's a sound devoid of humor. Your father's car. Right. And I suppose your father is the King of England. He leans in closer, his face crowding the open window. The smell of cheap aftershave and something sour fills the car. What's your dad do, kid? He a big-time rapper? A sports star? Or is it the old classic? The one we see every day? Jamal swallows. He owns a business, sir. A business, Miller repeats, nodding his head in mock seriousness. I bet he does. A business with very flexible hours. A business that involves small plastic baggies and burner phones. He taps the carbon fiber door panel with his flashlight. This is a $400,000 car, son. People who own businesses don't have cars like this. Not the legal ones, anyway. The contempt in his voice is a physical thing. It presses down on Jamal, heavy and suffocating. He can feel the injustice of it, the sheer, unadulterated prejudice. His father had worked his entire life, building something from nothing, with integrity and relentless effort. And this man, this stranger, dismisses it all with a sneer. Sir, the registration is valid. My license is valid. I wasn't speeding. Jamal's voice gains a sliver of strength. This is a mistake. Miller's eyes narrow. He hates it when they talk back. He hates it when they pretend they have rights. You got a mouth on you, don't you? You think these papers mean something? He waves the registration dismissively. These can be forged. I see it all the time. Real convincing fakes. He shines the light back in Jamal's eyes, holding it there. But you know what I don't see? I don't see how a kid like you, from this neighborhood, ends up in a car like this without a crime being committed. So why don't you start over? And this time, try the truth. Jamal just stares into the blinding light, his father's words echoing in his head. But the words are starting to fail him. The calm is cracking. Because the man outside his window is not interested in the truth. He has his own truth, and it is ugly and unchangeable. The second officer, Davis, approaches from the other side. He is younger, his face still unlined by the corrosive cynicism that has twisted Miller's features. He looks nervous. Everything okay, Frank? Everything's perfect, Miller says, not taking his eyes off Jamal. We got a future rap mogul here, trying to tell me his daddy owns a car dealership. He laughs again. Get a load of this. Kid says this $500,000 supercar is his old man's. Davis peers into the car, his expression uncertain. He looks at Jamal, then at the pristine interior, then back at Miller. He seems to understand that this is a performance, and he is merely a bit player. I'm just taking it for a wash, sir, Jamal says, a last, desperate attempt at reason. My dad asked me to. The dealership is just a few miles away. The dealership, Miller scoffs, shaking his head. He turns to Davis. You hear that? He's sticking to the story. Got guts, I'll give him that. He turns back to Jamal, his voice dropping, becoming cold and hard. All right, funny man. Joke's over. Step out of the car. Now. Jamal's blood runs cold. Sir, why? Because I said so, Miller barks, his hand dropping to the butt of his service weapon. Not drawing it, but letting the threat hang in the air. Out. Of. The. Car. Hands where I can see them. Face down on the hood. The humiliation is a hot flush that creeps up Jamal's neck. This is it. This is the moment where politeness fails, where the truth doesn't matter. This is the moment where he becomes what the officer wants him to be, a criminal in a stolen car. He takes a slow, steadying breath and opens the door. The night air feels cold against his skin. Miller doesn't give him a chance to comply gracefully. He grabs Jamal by the arm, his grip like a vice, and yanks him from the driver's seat. He shoves him hard against the side of the McLaren, the impact knocking the wind out of him. The cold metal of the hood presses against his cheek. You think you're smart, don't you? Miller hisses in his ear, his breath hot and foul. Driving around in this thing, thinking you're untouchable. Let me tell you something, kid. In my world, you're never untouchable. He kicks Jamal's feet apart, forcing him into a wider, more vulnerable stance. Davis watches, his face a mask of discomfort. Frank, maybe we should just run the VIN, he suggests weakly. The system's back up. We could clear this up in 2 minutes. Miller glares at his partner over the roof of the car. You want to do your job, or you want to be his lawyer? I know a stolen car when I see one. I can smell it. He pats Jamal down roughly, his hands lingering, searching for a weapon, for drugs, for anything that will validate the ugly story in his head. He finds nothing but a phone and a wallet. He yanks the wallet from Jamal's back pocket and flips it open. He pulls out a $20 bill and a school ID. Then he sees a photograph, tucked behind the ID. It's a picture of Jamal and his father, standing in front of a row of gleaming luxury cars, both of them smiling. His father has his arm around his shoulder, a look of immense pride on his face. Miller stares at the photo. He sees a well-dressed black man. He sees success. And it fuels his rage. This him, he sneers, holding the photo in front of Jamal's face. This the big-shot businessman. Yes, sir, Jamal says, his voice muffled by the car's hood. He looks real proud of you, Miller says, his voice dripping with sarcasm. I wonder what he'll think when he gets the call to bail his son out for grand theft auto. That's a felony, kid. You know what that means. It means your life, as you know it, is over. No college. No good jobs. Just a long, slow slide to the bottom. You'll be lucky to be flipping burgers by the time you're 30-inch. Every word is a hammer blow. Jamal feels a tremor of despair, but then, something else. A cold, hard anger begins to form in the pit of his stomach. He has done nothing wrong. He has been polite. He has been compliant. And he is being treated like garbage. He lifts his head, turning to look at the officer. My father is going to hear about this, he says, the words quiet but laced with a new, steely resolve. This is the line. The final, irrevocable crossing. Miller's face twists into a mask of pure, ugly triumph. He thinks he has finally broken the kid. He lets out a loud, theatrical laugh. Oh, he is he? And what's he gonna do? Huh? What's your daddy gonna do? Roll up in his beat-up pickup truck with a public defender. Threaten to file a complaint that'll get lost in a filing cabinet before the ink is dry. He leans in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Let me tell you how this works. I'm the law. What I say, goes. I say this car is stolen, it's stolen. I say you're a thief, you're a thief. Your daddy. He's nobody. He's nothing. And so are you. He throws the wallet onto the hood of the car. You get one phone call, kid. You might as well make it to him. Tell him to get ready to mortgage his house for your lawyer fees. Oh, wait, he pauses for dramatic effect. People like you don't have houses to mortgage, do you? That's it. The casual, cruel dismissal of his father's entire life. The assumption that they are nothing, that they have nothing. The anger in Jamal's chest solidifies into a diamond-hard point of clarity. He has followed the rules. The rules have failed him. It is time to make a new rule. Okay, Jamal says, his voice shockingly calm. I will. Miller is taken aback by the sudden shift in tone. The fear is gone. The pleading is gone. The kid is looking at him with an expression he can't quite read. It looks almost like pity. Get my phone, Jamal says. It is not a request. Frowning, Miller picks the phone up off the hood. He expects the kid to be crying, to be begging. This quiet defiance is unnerving. He holds the phone out. Who you calling? Your gangbanger friends to come help you out. No, sir, Jamal says, his eyes locked on Miller's. I'm calling my father. He unlocks the phone with his Face ID and navigates to his contacts, his fingers steady. He presses the first number on his speed dial, the one labeled Dad. He puts the phone on speaker. The phone rings once. Twice. Then, a voice answers. It is deep, calm, and resonant. A voice accustomed to command. Jamal. Is everything all right, son? Not really, Dad, Jamal says, his voice clear and strong. I've been pulled over. On Grand Avenue. The officer seems to believe I've stolen your car. There is a short pause on the other end of the line. It is not a pause of confusion, but of calculation. I see, the voice says, the two words carrying an impossible weight. What is the officer's name? Miller scoffs. This is a pathetic little show. Tell your daddy it's Officer Miller, badge number 734, he says loudly, for the phone to pick up. And tell him his son is taking a ride downtown for stealing a McLaren. I heard him, son, the voice on the phone says, and now there is a new edge to it. An edge of polished, lethal steel. Officer Miller, badge number 734. Please do me a favor, Jamal. Stay on the line. And hold the phone up so I can hear everything clearly. What's this supposed to be? Miller sneers. You think your old man can do something from his living room couch? He's not on his couch, Jamal says, a faint, ghost of a smile touching his lips for the first time. And then, from down the street, comes a new sound. It is not the roar of a muscle car or the whine of a siren. It is a deep, powerful purr, a sound of immense, restrained power. Headlights, brighter and whiter than anything on the road, cut through the darkness. A car is approaching. It is long, black, and impossibly elegant. A Rolls-Royce Phantom, gliding towards them with the silent, inexorable grace of a shark. It doesn't just drive, it proceeds. It commands the road. It pulls up directly behind Miller's patrol car, its massive chrome grille gleaming under the streetlights, looking like the gates to a fortress. The flashing police lights wash over its flawless black paint, looking cheap and garish in comparison. The entire scene freezes. Even Miller is momentarily stunned into silence by the sheer presence of the vehicle. The driver's side door opens, but not with a click. It opens with a soft, expensive sigh. A handcrafted leather shoe, polished to a mirror shine, is placed on the asphalt. Then another. A man emerges from the car. He is tall, impeccably dressed in a dark, tailored suit that probably cost more than Miller's last 3 paychecks combined. He moves with an unhurried, leonine grace. He holds a phone to his ear. I'm here, son, the man says, his voice the same one from the phone. He lowers the phone and his eyes, sharp and intelligent, lock onto Officer Miller. They are not angry eyes. They are something far worse. They are cold. They are assessing. They are the eyes of a man who is about to dismantle a problem. Miller stares, his mouth slightly agape. His brain struggles to connect the dots. The expensive car. The powerful-looking man. The phone call. The kid pressed against the hood of the McLaren. The man takes a few steps forward, his presence seeming to suck the very air out of the space around him. He stops a respectful distance away, but he owns the ground he stands on. Officer Miller, he says, his voice calm and level, yet it cuts through the night like a scalpel. My name is Marcus Thompson. That is my son, Jamal Thompson. And that, he gestures with a flick of his wrist towards the blue supercar, is my car. Now, would you be so kind as to explain to me why my son is being treated like a common criminal on the side of the road? The name hits Miller like a physical blow. Thompson. Marcus Thompson. Thompson Automotive Group. The name is on a dozen billboards across the city. It's on the back of every luxury car that matters. He is not just a business owner. He is an institution. A pillar of the city's economy. A man who plays golf with the mayor and has the police chief's personal cell number on his phone. The blood drains from Frank Miller's face. The tough guy swagger, the sneering condescension, it all evaporates in an instant, leaving behind a pale, sweating, terrified man. The predator has just realized he has been toying with the cub of a lion. And the lion has arrived. Sir. Mr. Thompson, Miller stammers, his voice suddenly 2 octaves higher. He takes a step back from Jamal, as if the boy were suddenly radioactive. There's been a misunderstanding. Marcus Thompson's expression does not change. There is no flicker of relief, no hint of forgiveness. There is only a chilling, methodical focus. A misunderstanding, he repeats, the words flat and dead. My son tells me you accused him of grand theft auto. He tells me you insinuated that I was a drug dealer. He tells me you threatened to ruin his life. That sounds less like a misunderstanding and more like a gross abuse of power. He takes another step forward. Officer Davis, the younger partner, looks like he wants the ground to open up and swallow him whole. He is actively trying to melt into the background. I was just following procedure, sir, Miller pleads, his voice cracking. The transformation is grotesque. The bully has become the beggar. A car like that, in this area, it's suspicious. We have to check these things out. Do you? Marcus's voice is soft, almost conversational, which makes it all the more terrifying. Does your procedure involve yanking a 17-year-old boy from his vehicle without cause? Does it involve public humiliation? Does it involve racist and classist assumptions? I'd be very interested to read that particular section of your training manual. He turns his gaze to Jamal. Are you all right, son? I'm okay, Dad, Jamal says, pushing himself off the hood of the car. He picks up his wallet, his movements no longer hesitant. He stands tall, his father's presence a shield around him. Marcus nods, then turns his full attention back to Miller. The hunter is now the prey, pinned in the headlights. Officer Miller, I would like your badge number again, please. And the name and badge number of your partner. Miller's eyes dart around, looking for an escape that doesn't exist. It's 734, he says, his voice a pathetic whisper. And this is Officer Davis, badge 912. Davis visibly flinches at his name being spoken aloud. Thank you, Marcus says with icy politeness. He pulls his phone back out. He doesn't dial. He speaks to it. Call Chief Reynolds. The phone obeys instantly. It begins to ring, the sound amplified by the speaker. Miller's face, already pale, turns a ghostly shade of white. He knows that name. Everyone on the force knows that name. Chief Reynolds is not a man you want to hear from on a good day, let alone a night like this. The ringing stops. Marcus, a gruff voice answers. Everything okay? It's late. No, Robert, everything is not okay, Marcus Thompson says, his tone leaving no room for pleasantries. I'm on Grand Avenue, just past the Sterling turnoff. I'm standing here with two of your officers, Miller and Davis. They have just pulled over my son, Jamal, accused him of stealing my car, and have spent the last 10 minutes threatening and humiliating him based on what I can only assume is the color of his skin. There is a heavy, deadly silence on the other end of the line. For a moment, the only sound is the idling engine of the Rolls-Royce and the frantic, shallow breathing of Frank Miller. Give me the phone, Marcus, the chief's voice says, now hard as iron. Marcus walks forward and holds the phone out to Miller. Miller looks at it as if it were a venomous snake. His hand shakes as he takes it. Sir. Miller squeaks into the phone. The voice that comes out of the speaker is a roar. It is the sound of a career ending. Miller. You have exactly 10 seconds to explain to me why I shouldn't drive down there myself and strip that badge off your chest right now. What in God's name are you doing? Chief, sir, it was a mistake, a misunderstanding, Miller babbles, his words tripping over each other. The car, the kid. I thought. You thought, the chief bellows. You're not paid to think, Miller. You're paid to follow the law. Did you run the plates? The system was slow, sir. Did you have probable cause for the stop? Miller is silent. There is no answer he can give that will save him. That's what I thought, the chief's voice is now dangerously quiet. I have a supervisor 10 blocks from your location. He will be there in 2 minutes. You will hand him your badge and your service weapon. You will not speak to Mr. Thompson or his son again. You will not speak to anyone. You will go to the precinct, you will sit in the briefing room, and you will wait for me. Is that understood? Yes, sir, Miller whispers. The words are the sound of a man's life crumbling to dust. And Davis, the chief barks. You will write down every single thing you saw and heard tonight. Every word. And if I find out you've omitted a single detail to cover for your partner, I will personally ensure you never wear a uniform in this state again. Understood? Yes, Chief. Understood. Davis says, his voice high and reedy. Good, the Chief says. Marcus. I am so sorry. We will handle this. I give you my word. I appreciate that, Robert, Marcus says, taking the phone back. But this is beyond an apology. We'll talk tomorrow, he ends the call. The silence that descends is absolute. It is the silence of a grave. Miller stands frozen, his face a canvas of pure, unadulterated terror. He looks at Marcus Thompson, not as a man, but as a force of nature that has just swept in and annihilated his world. Marcus ignores him completely. He turns to his son. "Let's go home, Jamal." He puts a hand on his son's shoulder, a gesture of quiet support and fierce protection. But Jamal isn't finished. He looks at Miller, the man who had him pressed against the hood of a car just minutes ago. The man who called his father nothing. And for the first time, he speaks not with fear or forced politeness, but with the chilling clarity of the wronged. He pulls out his own phone. "You know, officer," he says, his voice steady. "When you had me on the hood, I started an audio recording. It's been running this whole time." He presses a button. And Miller's own voice, tinny and distorted, fills the night air. "What's he gonna do? Huh? What's your daddy gonna do? Roll up in his beat-up pickup truck with a public defender." The recording continues. "Let me tell you how this works. I'm the law. What I say, goes. Your daddy? He's nobody. He's nothing. And so are you." Each word is a fresh shovel of dirt on the grave of Frank Miller's career. He closes his eyes, his body slumping in defeat. There is no defense. There is no escape. He has been undone by his own hate, his own arrogance. Just then, a new set of headlights appears. A supervisor's car pulls up, its arrival swift and official. A sergeant gets out, his face grim. He already knows. He walks directly to Miller. "Miller. Let's have it," the sergeant says, his voice flat, holding out his hand. With numb, fumbling fingers, Frank Miller unclips his badge from his uniform. The small piece of polished metal feels impossibly heavy. He hands it over. Then, he unholsters his weapon and gives that to the sergeant as well. He is disarmed. He is powerless. He is, for the first time in a long time, just a man. A pathetic, hateful man in a costume that no longer means anything. The sergeant looks at Marcus Thompson and gives a short, respectful nod. "Mr. Thompson. My deepest apologies for this." Marcus simply nods back. He has no more words for these men. His actions have already spoken. He and Jamal get back into their respective cars. The Rolls-Royce and the McLaren. The engines start, one a refined hum, the other a throaty growl. They pull away from the curb, leaving the flashing lights and the shattered remnants of a man's life behind them. As they drive off, Jamal looks in his rearview mirror. He sees Frank Miller, standing on the side of the road, stripped of his authority, looking small and insignificant under the streetlights. He doesn't feel joy. He doesn't feel triumph. He just feels a profound, weary sadness. And a quiet, unshakable resolve. This can't happen again. Not to him. Not to anyone. The fallout is not swift. It is a slow, methodical, and brutal dissection of a corrupt career. Marcus Thompson is a man who builds things, empires of steel and glass, legacies of excellence. But he is also a man who knows how to tear things down. And he tears down Frank Miller's world with the same precision and relentless focus he applies to his business. The day after the incident, Marcus and Jamal meet with Police Chief Robert Reynolds and two lawyers from the city attorney's office. The audio recording from Jamal's phone is played. There is no argument, no defense. The city officials sit in stunned, horrified silence as Miller's ugly, prejudiced tirade fills the conference room. Frank Miller is fired that afternoon. The official statement cites gross misconduct and violation of civil rights. The police union makes a few token noises about fighting it, but when they hear the recording, they quietly withdraw their support. No one wants to be associated with that brand of poison. But for Marcus Thompson, firing is not enough. Firing is a consequence. It is not justice. He files a federal civil rights lawsuit against Frank Miller personally, and against the city for its failure to properly train and supervise its officers. The Thompson legal team is not the kind the city is used to fighting. They are a high-powered corporate firm, sharks who normally handle billion-dollar mergers. They descend on the police department's records with a terrifying efficiency. They uncover a pattern. Frank Miller's arrest record is a roadmap of his prejudice. Over 70% of his traffic stops in the last 5 years involved minority drivers. He has a dozen complaints filed against him for verbal abuse and harassment, all of them dismissed after perfunctory internal investigations. He is not a good cop who made a bad mistake. He is a cancer that the department has allowed to fester for years. Officer Davis, Miller's young partner, becomes the prosecution's star witness. Faced with the choice between his career and loyalty to a man who nearly destroyed it, he chooses his career. He testifies under oath about Miller's frequently racist jokes, his contempt for the citizens he was supposed to protect, and the toxic culture of the precinct. The city, facing a public relations nightmare and a mountain of irrefutable evidence, settles the lawsuit. The amount is staggering, one of the largest in the city's history. It is a number designed to inflict pain, to force change. But the money is not for the Thompsons. That was never the point. Marcus Thompson holds a press conference on the steps of City Hall. With Jamal standing silently by his side, he announces the formation of the Jamal Thompson Justice Initiative. The entire settlement, every single penny, will be used to fund the foundation. Its mission is twofold: to provide top-tier legal representation for victims of police misconduct, and to create a scholarship fund for underprivileged students in the city's most neglected neighborhoods. Power should be used to protect, not to bully, Marcus says, his voice resonating across the assembled crowd of reporters. My son was lucky. He had a father who could show up. He had a father who could make a phone call. This foundation is for the ones who don't. From now on, when an officer like Frank Miller tries to abuse his power, he won't be facing a scared teenager alone. He'll be facing all of us. Frank Miller's personal ruin is as complete as his professional one. The lawsuit bankrupts him. He loses his house. His pension is gone. His name becomes a byword for police corruption in the city. He tries to find work in private security, but no one will hire him. The audio of his voice, sneering and hateful, is now infamous. He is a pariah. The last anyone hears of him, he is working as a night shift janitor in a warehouse on the industrial outskirts of town, scrubbing floors, a bitter, invisible ghost haunting the lonely hours before dawn. A man who once saw himself as a king, now scrubbing the dirt left behind by others. The systemic change is real. The Miller lawsuit forces the department to implement sweeping reforms. A new, robust civilian oversight committee is formed. Bias training becomes mandatory and rigorous. The early warning system for problem officers, long ignored, is overhauled and given real teeth. Chief Reynolds, his reputation tarnished, announces his retirement a few months later. A new chief, a reformer from outside the department, is brought in to clean house. 2 years later, the ballroom is filled with the low hum of conversation and the clinking of glasses. It is the first annual gala for the Jamal Thompson Justice Initiative. The event has sold out. The city's most powerful and influential people are here, writing checks and pledging their support. Jamal Thompson stands at the podium. He is no longer a nervous 17-year-old in a hoodie. He is a confident young man, a sophomore at a prestigious university, studying pre-law. He wears a suit that fits him perfectly, a gift from his father. He looks out at the crowd, finds his father's face, and smiles. 2 years ago, Jamal begins, his voice clear and strong, echoing through the ballroom, I was face down on the hood of a car. I was told that my life was over. I was told that my father was a nobody. I was told that I was nothing. A hush falls over the room. The man who told me those things was wrong, Jamal continues. He was wrong about my father. He was wrong about me. But he was most wrong about the power of a badge. He thought it gave him the right to judge, to belittle, and to destroy. But true power isn't the ability to knock someone down. It's the strength to lift them up. He gestures to the tables around the room, where the first recipients of the foundation's scholarships and legal aid are seated as guests of honor. A single mother who won a settlement against an abusive landlord. A young man whose wrongful conviction was overturned. A brilliant young woman from the East Side who is now attending medical school. That night, Jamal says, his voice thick with emotion, that officer saw a black kid in a nice car, and his mind went straight to criminal. He never once considered son, he never considered student, he never considered human, his prejudice blinded him. His arrogance was a cage he built for himself, and in the end, he was the only one trapped inside it. Tonight, we are here to build something different. Not cages, but doors. Doors to opportunity, doors to justice, doors to a future where a person's worth isn't judged by the color of their skin or the car they drive, but by the content of their character. He raises a glass. To opening more doors. The room erupts in applause. Marcus Thompson watches his son, his eyes shining with a pride so immense it seems to light him from within. He built an empire of cars, but this, he thinks, this right here, this is his legacy. A son who turned a moment of humiliation into a movement of hope. A boy who faced down a monster and, instead of becoming one himself, chose to build a world where monsters have no power. The quiet dignity of his son, standing in the light, is the most powerful force in the room. It is a force that men like Frank Miller could never comprehend, and could never, ever defeat.